I know I'm supposed to be grinding on the ladder today, but there's so many good games on at ESL. How could I not watch them? So, a few years ago, I read some advice, and that advice said if you want to improve at StarCraft, one of the best things you can do is every now and again throw in a 12-hour day, and we're talking a Beyond style day, where you just play game after game after game on ladder. You keep hitting that play now button and just going again and again and again until you've played from breakfast till dinner time, right? Now obviously you want to get up and walk about, do some exercise in between these 12 hours so you don't die, but generally from when you wake up to before you go to bed, just StarCraft the entire day. Now I gave this a try, and I found it was actually really helpful, and I have a few reasons why. Firstly, if you do anything for 12 hours a day, you're just going to build up a sort of affinity and connection with that thing, Whatever it is you do, if you do it for 12 hours, you're going to get good at it. It's more about the fact that if you play it for enough time in a row, you just stop thinking about the little things. It becomes automatic. You don't think about your micro, you don't think about your mechanics. They just become part of what you do, and it allows your brain to start focusing on other things like strategy. And that's very helpful. The second reason, and what I think is the most important reason, is if you play StarCraft 2 for 12 hours a day, it really brings down the intensity. We all know how intense StarCraft 2 can be. We've all played it and we've all felt it. For me, StarCraft 2 is the only game where I've literally had my eyes watering because I forget to blink during fights. Like, things will get so intense with defending harassment, doing harassment, and fighting, microing and macroing all at the same time that I'll just forget to blink. That's how intense it gets. Now, as fun as that can be, and that's one of the reasons why I love StarCraft, that's not very good for a sort of training environment. When things get so intense that you forget to practice specific skills, that's bad. You might go into games thinking, okay, in this game, I'm going to practice my macro, or my micro, or my multitasking, or my harassment, or just look at my mini-map more. But then once the game gets going, it gets intense, and you forget to focus on these things, because you just get so caught up in trying to win, and trying specifically to not lose. Now that's bad. Now, by playing 12 hours, you really bring down some of that intensity, and what this does is it allows you to actually focus on the smaller things that you want to work on during a game. Instead of getting caught up in trying to win, by playing 12 hours, each game becomes a little bit more insignificant, which means you're less worried about winning, and you can be more focused on making sure you're looking at your minimap, or you're doing your drop, or you're macroing whilst you fight. Now this can be really invaluable when trying to get better at StarCraft. Unfortunately, I don't have time to do a full 12-hour day at the moment. What with making these videos and my day job, I can't physically do 12 hours of StarCraft. There's not enough time in a day, what with sleeping as well. But what I am going to do is between 4 and 8 hours every day for the first week, only playing ladder. No practice, no watching replays, no training, just ladder. Another big benefit of this is that by the end of this week, I'm going to have some great statistics on what my worst matchup is and what my worst map is. So I might be able to look and say, oh, my TvP is really bad and I'm really bad at this map. And then I can train those specific things and work on my weakest area, which would be a big help. I'm finding it really difficult to play and watch Beyond play at the same time. Holding the camera isn't helping either. Before I end this episode, I want to go over a build order quickly and add some educational content for any Terrans who are watching. The build I want to go over is my TvT build. Now, Terran vs Terran right now is like the most played matchup on ladder. It's also my least favourite matchup, but for some reason I'm pretty good at it right now. So I just thought I'd go through my build. Now I say my build, but realistically this is the build that Innovation popularised on his stream involving 2 Ravens, although I have a sort of more fluid style where I change it depending on what the opponent is doing. The build opens up just like every Terran build right now. You go gas first, into a barracks, straight into second gas. When your barracks is finished, you start producing your Reaper. At the same time you want to start building your factory. Once your factory is done, you want to start producing a Cyclone as well as your second Reaper, and at the same time you want to put down your starport. Now, while your second Reaper and Cyclone are building, you want to be out on the map with your first Reaper scouting. because you need to know what your opponent is doing. If they're going for a Reaper Cyclone as well, then after your second Reaper on the barracks, you want to put a tech lab down. And then when your starport is finished, you switch over the starport for the barracks and you start producing 2 ravens. You can either then defend with these ravens or attack with these ravens. However, if you scout anything other than Reaper Cyclone, like in this game I saw he'd made Marines, I didn't know what he was doing behind it, but I knew it wasn't Reaper Cyclone. So if you see anything other than Reaper Cyclone, you make a 3rd Reaper, you keep making Cyclones, and you make a Medivac out of the starport. The idea here is that with 3 Reapers, 2 Cyclones and a Medivac, you can put on really heavy pressure. You can lift the Cyclones into his base, you can jump the Reapers up the cliff, and with the Medivac you can micro the Cyclones to do maximum damage. Whilst doing this, he will be forced to defend, so you can take your expansion and a 3rd expansion at the same time, so you can go up to 3 CCs really easily. After your 3rd Reaper, you want to put a tech lab on the barracks and then switch it for the starport after the Medivac to get 2 ravens, just like with the other version of the build. Again, these 2 ravens can be used aggressively or defensively. They're perfect at holding off aggression, they're perfect for doing aggression, and they have detection so you can counter any Banshee play. After your Reaper Cyclone aggression and after you've got out your 2 ravens, you want to make sure you're doing double Marine production, siege tank production, and switching your starport off the tech lab. In place of the starport, you want to put another barrack so you can start getting stim, and you want to put down double upgrades. At the same time, get a reactor on your starport so you can start producing Medivacs. At this point in the game, you've got Marine siege tank production with stim, double upgrades, 3 command centers, and you're ready to put down all your production facilities and just start going into a big macro game. Hopefully you've done damage in the early game as well, so that you're in quite an economic lead. So that's really all there is to the build. I've had a lot of success with it, I hope you will as well. I think what makes this build so strong is it can be incredibly aggressive with Reaper Cyclone. You then build Banshees, which can be either really good defensive units or also now really good harassment units with the auto turrets. And at the same time you're taking 3 command centers, so you're being equally as greedy. At the same time, because of the way your production's set up, you can get stim Marines and siege tank production out early enough to hold off any big mid-game attack he does. And if your opponent is going Reaper Cyclone, a mirror build of yours, you just skip the Medivac, go straight for the Ravens, you turtle on 3 bases, and you just macro. And you won't take any damage as long as you play well. I better get back to grinding the ladder now and just playing as many games as possible, because next week I'm going to be doing training and actually trying to specifically improve certain skills, which will be fun.